Hey everyone, the best thing about the most difficult topic is that you can give it a try or you can leave it and move on. So let's give a try to Basel II norms. It is the uh, improvement of Basel I Accord. Here we have three pillars. We will talk about first pillar. First pillar talks about the minimum capital requirement. Capital base of the bank is defined or consisting tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 capital elements, and some of these three elements will be eligible for inclusion in the capital base. Now there are some requirements that should be completed. Total of tier 2 elements limited to 100% of tier 1 elements. Subordinated term debt is limited to 50% of the tier 1 elements. Tier 3 capital limit is 250% of the tier 1 capital. These provisions like general provisions or loan loss reserves must be a maximum of 1.25 percentage point. You must understand the difference between percentage point and percentage. Percentage is divided by 100. If you divide some number by 100, then you will get percentage. But this one is directly number. Percentage point means this number. Now you must not divide by 100. It is already divided by 100 and you have got the 1.25. Now the asset revaluation reserves, which take the form of latent gains on unrealized security, will be subject to a discount of 55%. Now we will talk about tier 1. Tier 1 includes only permanent shareholders equity and disclosed reserves. Some examples are there: share premiums, retained profit, general reserves or legal reserves. Now we will read the next topic from the book. First pillar, tier 1. Now tier 2 has some definitions: undisclosed reserves, revaluation reserves, general provision or general loss, hybrid capital instrument. Hybrid means debt or equity. Subordinated term debt. Now these are the definition which I will cover later in a video, separate video. Tier 3 is short-term subordinated debt covering market risk. Principal form of eligible capital to cover market risk consists of shareholders equity and retained earning and supplementary capital as defined in the above paragraph. But banks may also, at the discretion of their national authority, employ a third tier of capital consisting of short-term subordinated debt for the sole purpose of meeting a proportion of capital requirement for market risk, which is subject to the following condition. A is, banks will be entitled to use tier 3 capital solely to support market risk. This is just to support market risk. Tier 3 capital will be limited to 250% of banks tier 1. Here it is also written, tier 3 must be limited to 250% of tier 1 capital. This means a minimum of about 28.5% of market risks need to be supported by tier 1 capital, that is not required to support risk in the remainder of the book. Tier 2 elements may be substituted for tier 3 up to the same limit of 250% insofar as the overall limits are not breached. Third point is, the national authority will have the discretion to refuse the use of short-term subordinated debt for individual banks or for their banking system generally. In addition, it is a matter for national discretion whether or not to apply the principle in present framework that tier 1 capital should represent at least half of the total eligible capital. It means the sum of the total tier 2 and tier 3 capital should not exceed the total of tier 1 capital. This you should, because this may be a question in exam, so you should go through it once again. Now the second pillar and third pillar will be covered in a separate video. Thank you.